Consumer Mathematics, section 14.8. Here we're looking at carrying inventory and basically what's the cost of this. So if we open our books, we're now on page 541. So when we start talking about carrying inventory, we're talking about basically what happens to a company as it has to continue to have inventory on hand. And what is the price to that company of actually maintaining its inventory? Once again, this is going to vary for the company. Grocery stores, sometimes in your company there, you're going to have people that put stuff on the shelves you got to pay for, people to restock items, to pull it from the back room and re-put it back out and not just from the truck out. You're going to have, maybe as you store product, it might go bad and have spoilage issues. So it's all going to depend upon the company on what goes on within, and most companies, they have a lot of information that goes into this. So when we start looking at the overall carrying inventory, we look at the simple fact that the cost of carrying inventory is going to equal the value of the inventory times the percent rate that's at this. Now, once again, this percent rate is kind of based off of past expenses. Okay, so as a company looks at, well, in the past, this product's cost us more because it went bad so fast. Or maybe it sat on the shelf and we had to have a person move it from this shelf to this next shelf and then back and forth because it's just not selling as fast as other items are, so we don't want to have too much on hand. You know, think about like a gun safe. You're going to need to find somebody who can drive a forklift, and then they take that forklift and they got to move this gun safe from one spot to the next just because it's getting in the way, versus having it on the floor and displayed, and then you sell it and then you've got to wait for the next one to come in and not have the on hands. Because once again, that's a heavy cost to have because it takes an employee time and you're losing money on that. So when we look at problem 1, here they talk about, let's say we have an inventory of $200,000, and the estimated annual expense is 30%. So they're saying that this inventory is costing us 30% as we're sitting through here. So what we're going to do is our annual cost of inventory is going to be $200,000 times 0.3. Okay, once again, that 30% is represented by that 0.3, and that gives us $60,000. So basically, what's ever going on here, for us to maintain $200,000 in inventory, it's costing our company $600,000. So maybe we don't want that much inventory on hand. Once again, depending upon if we go through it fast enough, then this percentage here could start going down if we start going through it faster. But because it's not, it's costing us a fair amount of money. Question number 3 talks about, let's say we had $150,000. Now if we have $150,000 and it's a 25% cost now, so basically our annual cost of carrying inventory, just abbreviated the first letters here so I didn't have to rewrite out that full thing again. We're going to take $150,000 times 0.25 to give us $37,500. And this is kind of the basis on what goes on. Now, some people are like, well, where does this percentage come from? Well, a lot of times this percentage comes from somebody very smart that's sitting in an office, like an engineer or a management person, that would know what's all going on with this. So if we turn our pages over and we start looking at number 16 on page 543. Okay, so number 16 on page 543 has this big old table that we have going with this. Okay, so let me get this out of the way here. Here it talks about we have inventory value of $380,000. In that inventory value of $380,000, we're looking at a 25% estimated. Now, what they did in this problem is they took that 25%, so that 25%, and they broke it down into categories at a percentage of what they're wasting. So they're saying 4% of our inventory as we're holding it has some spoilage or a physical deterioration going on with it. So basically it's going bad, and we have 4% that we kind of lose money on or costs us within here. We have interest that's built into this. Basically, you as a company owner, you have to have a credit line, and that credit line's costing you money to have. Your handling expenses, you got to pay employees to do this, to put stuff in the back room, to bring it back out. You have your storage facilities. I mean, you're going to have a warehouse somewhere to store this. And then once again, you're going to have taxes overall. And then you're going to have insurance, because you're going to have insurance on the storage facility, because, boy, if you're a warehouse all of a sudden burned down, you're going to want it covered somehow. So always start looking as we start looking at the breakdown of these costs. Once again, because it's not just 25% overall, we look at what's each cost causing us to have. So if we look here, we're going to take that $380,000 and we're going to multiply by our 4% or 0.04. And we see that spoilage is costing us $15,200. Interest, taking that 8% times our $380,000, is costing us $30,400. Handling is that $380,000 times 10% now, so 0.1. So that's $38,000 that's costing us for people to pack this away and bring it back out to sell. The storage facilities, once again, 2% here, $7,600. And then taxes and insurance are the same percentage. Now, once again, it's 0.5%. So that is 0.005. Once again, move 2 decimal places or divide by 100 for $1,900. So we're seeing that our total in our cost here is $95,000. Okay, so it's costing us for having this $380,000 in inventory. It's costing our company $95,000 to have this for that year. So once again, if we were to talk about this now, and let's say, hey, let's say we were to figure this out and we were able to have 75% less inventory. Okay, so 75% less inventory. So that means we're not carrying over as much. So that means basically we're only carrying 25% of this. So if we take 95,000 times 0.25, that is $23,750. So basically, if we were to cut our inventory by 3/4, okay, once again, 3/4 less inventory. So once again, this is 3/4, because 3 divided by 4 is 0.75, so that's where that 75% came from. That's significant. I mean, look at this cost in comparison here. This is why a lot of companies don't like to have all this inventory on hand, because that inventory is costing money. So if they could have less inventory, the cost of having that and the maintenance on that's going to save them money in the long run, thus allowing them to have a better profit. So this is kind of summing up our carrying inventory once again. We basically try to figure out, what is our total value of inventory, and then we figure out what's that percentage that we're having in here. In this case, it was 25%. In our other cases, we talked about 30%. But once again, if we could cut down this inventory dollar amounts, even though this percentage would stay the same, this dollar amount would thus go down. So once again, as this goes down, this would then go down also to really help a company out as we look through it.